All right, good morning, everyone. It is April 6th, 2023, and this is the Law and Policy meeting of the California Fair Political Practices Commission. Ms. Lincoln, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Chair Matich?
Present. All right, good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Item 1, public comment for items not on today's agenda. Do we have any public comment for items not on our agenda today? Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to item 2, that is approval of the February 7th, 2023 committee minutes. Commissioner Baker, do you have any edits or comments on the minutes?
I do not. Thank you. I move to approve.
All right, I will second. Is there any public comment on item 2? Hearing and seeing none, Ms. Linker.
Commissioner Baker?
Aye.
Chair Matich?
Aye.
The motion passes.
All right, we'll proceed to item 3. This is a discussion and interested person feedback on proposed regulation 18531, return of excessive contributions. And with us this morning is Commission Counsel Torrin Lewis. Good morning, Mr. Lewis.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Baker and members of the public. So as mentioned, I'm here today to discuss some updated language following up on our pre-notice presentation of some proposed amendments to existing regulation 18531 concerning the return and now attribution of over-the-limit contributions. So you may recall that the purpose of these proposed amendments is really to implement changes in response to legislative enactments to the Act late last year that is, in essence, codified part of the existing regulation 18531, but also broadened the ability of committees who receive over-the-limit contributions to return those contributions even when they have actual knowledge that those contributions are over the limit, as well as the legislation also permits them to attribute such over-the-limit contributions to another election. And so based on these changes, we're proposing some regulatory updates. Since we last presented the pre-notice text to the Commission, we've made some additional changes based on the Commission's feedback at that time. The most significant of those that I'd like to direct your attention to is harmonizing the different election versus another election language. We went back, took a look at the statute, and where appropriate, harmonized those two terms. And I'm happy to speak further about that language and its relevance, if you wish. And the other change that I think is most significant from the pre-notice version of the proposed amendments is staff is actually recommending not defining the term actual knowledge in F as originally proposed. We went back and again looked at the Act and at the plain meaning of that term, and we think we're able to best address your concerns, Mr. Chairman, as well as Commissioner Baker's concerns expressed at the pre-notice by actually relying on what we think is an existing plain language meaning of that term within the Act right now. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to you for any specific questions, or if you'd like, I can go through the changes in more detail or answer any questions you may have.
Since the interested persons meeting primarily is for the benefit of the public and stakeholders to provide their input to us, I want to turn it over to and give them the opportunity to do that. Before doing that, though, can you just elaborate a little bit on another election issue, just so it's clear to everybody what change you made from pre-notice to now?
Certainly. So the statute, let me get it in front of me here so I'm quoting the direct text. Let's see here. So while I'm looking for this, the direct text of the statute, 85319.5, in the subsections that permit committees to return or attribute contributions that are over the limit, they say that the contributions may be attributed to another election, and this is A and B. But then in D, where the statute talks about the notice requirement to contributors, in other words, if a committee does choose to attribute the contributions to a different election, it uses different language. And so in D1, it says, a committee may, in accordance with any regulations adopted by the commission, request that the contributor attribute in writing a contribution to a different election. And then in D2, the statute says a committee may, in accordance with any regulation adopted by the commission, automatically attribute a portion of a contribution that exceeds the applicable limit between the primary and general elections. And so we believe what the intent of that different election language is essentially saying if a committee wants to attribute an over the limit contribution between the primary and general election, it may do so without notification. If it wants to attribute those over the limit contributions to something other than a primary or general, that is what is meant by different election. So it means perhaps a special, perhaps a subsequent year. And we think this is consistent with the existing definition of the term election in the Act. And that's in 82022, where election is defined as any primary, general, special, or recall. And then it specifies primary and general or special elections are separate elections for purposes of this title. So I hope that answers your question, but I'm happy to.
Yes, that was very, very helpful to understand that. I understand from our IT staff that we're having some technical difficulties with the live stream, so we're going to pause briefly while they sort that out. So hang tight for a second.
Will do.